Hey there, everybody. Seth here. Still not sure how to make this format somewhat enjoyable, so I guess we'll just go with what we did on the dub pack video. Some nice music, some footage in the background, and this time around that one filter I overused in some cases. You know, hacking editing software after all. Apologies if said footage in some cases is hot garbage. I have no clue how to actually play most of these characters, unfortunately. Hopefully this doesn't drag on too long, but you know me already. There's a decent bit to talk about at least, so I kind of get a pass on there this time at least. Anyways, welcome one and all to the CF Newcomer Unlimited 2.0 pack release. I would also like to note this does still come with all the dub voice mods I made for CF Newcomer characters as well. Some of which I updated a bit, so we got double trouble here for sure. Pretty much every new CF Newcomer besides Hibiki and Izanami have English voice sets included, in case you were specifically wondering. I included 9 in there too this time, even though I didn't make a character mod of her for this, and honestly, hopefully I never do. But it seemed fitting to obviously have her with the rest of the voice mods, so there you go. The voice mods have been slightly updated from before to have less misplaced lines after some more thorough checking I did, so hopefully there isn't any more mishaps, but feel free to tell me if anything ends up sounding weird during a match, obviously. Whether you're a returning user of my mods, a regular viewer as a whole, or someone that just got redirected from the old showcase videos which I replaced the download links for since those are outdated now, glad you could join me. It's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin there. I went back to all my old Unlimited character releases, perused some feedback, racked my brain a bit for some ideas, and I updated each and every one of them to a slightly higher quality standard, we'll say. Because after the showcases I did for Unlimited Izanami and 9, and I saw how much was actually done to them compared to my own mods, I kind of figured maybe I was a bit too shallow on these. I can get a bit more creative, I guess. In addition, this is going to make downloading all my Unlimited and CF voices a lot easier, since they're now all in one convenient place, not spread out across, like, I don't know, 6 videos, 7 videos. Hopefully that means this video lets all the other characters get as much attention as Unlimited Susanoo. Hot damn, that is still far away my most popular video. I love all the positivity from it, but like, come on guys, there's other characters you love too. They exist, they're not all bad. There was definitely some buggy stuff, some bad code, and like one entire move that needed fixing as a whole, so this was almost definitely a good idea, all that stuff aside. So, obviously with how long the other showcase videos were, I'm not going to be going over absolutely everything about each Unlimited here. The old showcases still have relevant info, and I want to leave those up anyways, if only just for history's sake. Instead, I'm going to go over what I changed from the previous versions for each character, maybe commentate some designer thoughts behind it. We'll see as I continue writing this definitely not scripted video. Maybe some light talk about the dub voice sets, but I think theirs are self-explanatory. In case I don't get back to those, I hope they continue to be as well received as the recent CG Tack did, and as well as they've been received in general on the first releases I did. Without further ado, and hoping I put timestamps in post at the beginning of this for those who don't like to hear me ramble, I'll get on with the changes between 1.0 and 2.0 South Unlimiteds. I'll begin with some of the global changes I did, as in these were done to every one of the mods, to just sort of get all that out of the way rather than addressing them on a case-by-case basis. So every character besides Jubei and Susanoo got 1,000 extra health, since looking at the amounts of Unlimited Ragna, Izanami, and 9 in Central Fiction, they kind of got more health than their base forms than what characters normally get back in, like, for their Unlimiteds in Continuum Shift or Prime Phantasma. Jubei got excluded because he already had the correct amount, and Susanoo didn't get touched for the same reason, and also because if I gave him any more health, he'd have more than limited Tager, and I feel like Arxis would always keep Tager's health the highest, so by that logic, Susanoo can't have any more. The other thing I did to more properly resemble CF's very limited, ironically, roster Unlimiteds, was to up every one of their character combo rates to 70 from the default value of 60. What's character combo rate? Well, I can't quite say I fully understand myself, so I don't feel qualified to try and get it. I'll probably just leave a link in the description that goes to like the CF Industrial page and what it is, and try to grasp your own understanding from that. With our global changes out of the way, we'll kick the individual changes off with the first mod I ever showed off on YouTube here, Unlimited Naoto, or Ragno the Edgelord, just like to call him, because he's basically just deviant art Ragna, but that's probably just my own opinion. That aside, Naoto here was probably the one that needed tweaked the least, as he was pretty solid all around as far as I was concerned. It'd be a bit mean, I think, though, to leave him out with nothing modified, so after some digging around and some thought, I was able to come up with the following, hopefully displayed on screen in a non-obstructive manner. From what I could see in my original Naoto, I missed a couple checks will say on making his original overdrive effects active by default. I forgot on which attacks or actions, but regardless, I went and fixed those up, which hopefully means everything that has an overdrive buff should definitely have it now. His 2C will now launch on grounded hit without needing counter hit. The guard break time on his drives have all been doubled. Banishing Fang Bash can now go into Banishing Fang Raid on hit, which, while only really useful in corner combos, I think is pretty cool. The recovery time for Enhanced Slash Kite has been lowered to match the unenhanced version, because, well, it has longer recovery than non-enhanced, so... And finally, I got quote-unquote official names for his new distortions, being Divine Updraft for 632146A and Divine Vortex for 632146C. Speaking of, Divine Updraft now sends straight up on hit instead of knocking the opponent very slightly backwards. Found that the pulling effect could mess with some stuff, so I just opted to get rid of it. His final changes on Divine Vortex. It's now air unblockable and has proper 30% minimum damage. The first change kind of reflecting the source material I took this move from because it's basically Raging Storm from King of Fighters, a series I have ironically not even played very much, if at all. Next up on the agenda will be Hibiki, the first character I actually ever started modding. Well, the first I really tried seriously on. Technically the second overall, I think. Unfortunately, one of the only 2 characters in the game with no English voice, since he's not BB tagged yet. He hasn't been playable up to this point at all. This fucker was Machinator Relius Reborn. Every time I thought I fixed something and that he was done, near the end before recording this, something else would break. The agony of trying to fix this man. As for his unlimited changes, this is technically like Hibiki 3.0, but that aside, here's what's new. His 3C now deals a hard knockdown without a counter hit, although the time is less than on counter hit, just as a small note, but you can still get pickups off of it. Kunai Throw keeps his momentum again without freezing him while in the air. The air action cancel window has been increased as well, and despite that, this move is still kind of awful, but much less so. Pulverizing Fin, or his drop anti-air grab, when now will always deal its extra damage you get when doing it from the high height. To be honest, after actually seeing how high you have to be with this move to actually get that bonus damage normally, I have to actually wonder why they even added it, but it's guaranteed unlimited Hibiki here. Black Thunder Nue, or as I like to call it, Last Surprise, has been rebuffed compared to Hibiki 1.0, sort of. It's still not as dumb as 1.0, but still better than before. It's a bit faster pretty much and deals more overall damage. Hey, to be fair, Talcocker got 5k for pressing X in CS, so this is definitely fair when it costs meter by comparison, I would think. And for Hibiki's final change, which took multiple sessions to finally get sorted, Invisibility Distortion has been reworked. I don't really have a name for it, but I guess I could settle for calling it In the Shadows after his theme name, because, well, I mean, look at the animation. It's, well, probably didn't sync that up with the video, but oh well. So in prayer versions, this would turn him totally invisible. Like, unseeably so. Like, the only thing you could see of this of Hibiki when he was cloaked was his shadow on the floor. Fitting to the name, but in hindsight, while very cool originally, this is also insanely dumb. Like, even if it only lasts a little while, like, even if it only lasts a little while, how do you fight against him at all when you literally can't see him at all, I figure? I'm open to maybe tweaking this move more if you all think I should, but I've changed it to where now Hibiki is very transparent instead, so you can actually tell where he is at the very least. Everything else about the move, like the bonus damage to his other distortions get, is unchanged, although I did tweak the animation a bit because I learned all of his match end animations for some reason, compared to all the other characters, have no collision hitboxes. This kind of made the invincibility of the startup last way longer than it was supposed to, and in fact it was completely unpunishable because of it. So I made some minor changes to that as well, while keeping the animation intact decently enough, I think. Unlimited S. The Embryo Storage! Amazing name, by the way. Dear God, this one needed something done pretty bad. I actually learned off of the guy who made combo videos of my mod that she had a goddamn touch of death. I am sad and sorry to say that she still has it, and that it is in fact slightly easier to do now. However, unlike everyone else, S here actually got hit with a few nerfs because she was totally obnoxious. The first of which being her goddamn A projectiles. They aren't enhanced anymore. Her B projectiles still are, but having her fast A1s be enhanced made her zoning way too oppressive and gross. We'll address the other nerfs sort of down the line. Other things changed now are that her 5D is now an overhead. 6D has its counter hit stun by default and is jump cancelable on block. Eric, her command grab, has its JA whiff cancel window increased, and the recovery has been heavily reduced because I removed the animation where she falls over, and instead she will now land on her feet, as she properly should. Mordred goes further faster and has ever so slightly reduced startup. The first hit can now fatal counter as well as the second one. Galahad Distortion, that goes full screen now, so good luck getting out of that. And lastly, back to the semi-nerf I brought up to her new Unlimited Distortion, which I confess also still has no name for now. The air version's damage got cut from 6,000 to 5,500, and the move now has proper duration values on it, so it doesn't result in super disgusting stuff if you manage to combo after. In return, however, the final slash hits now have 40% minimum damage, and the initial hits are air unblockable without barrier. Recovery on hit for the grounded version was also reduced a bit, and both air and ground versions can fatal counter. Grounded whiff version sends really high on counter hit, and air version has longer knockdown on counter hit. Lastly, I fixed an oversight with this move now that I have the knowledge to do so, where if you canceled into it from a drive normal or something and you had a crest out, the crest could potentially hit the opponent out of the attack and make the rest of it miss. It shouldn't be interruptible by accident anymore, so I personally hope no one actually ran into this issue before I just mentioned it. Unlimited Mai up next here. Pretty much the only thing I figured I'd do was take another crack at opening up her cancel options a bit more while still trying not to gut her auto combo mechanic, and I think it turned out pretty good. She seemed pretty solid to me in all other aspects, but those aside, I upped her walk speed a bit so that it was now the same 30% higher that 9 and Izanami had on theirs compared to their normal walk speed. In addition, most of her variable art/auto combo attacks will now auto-correct themselves directionally if you cross or up during them, akin to Dragon Ball FighterZ' auto combos because, yeah, those are fun. A more detailed list on new cancel options is included in the change list that comes with the download, so I think I'll just allow you all to skim that over yourself rather than go over each one. I figure this is getting long enough already. But yeah, that's pretty much all the stuff for mine. The gangster cat himself, Jubei. Unfortunately, I have yet to actually have something capable of giving me access to his projectile scripts and stuff. That doesn't come out all messed up, so I'm still pretty limited to what I can do in a way for him. However, I did not let that deter me. I was pretty damn set on buffing up Jubei, since compared to some of the others, he seemed a bit tad underpowered. And the strongest creature on the planet deserves a hell of a lot better than a recreation of his character debut in the game being lackluster. Fuck that. So I buffed the fuck out of Jubei. Starting with him having a 10% base damage increase similar to his wife, 9, the skank-ass hoe. Kinda seems only fair that he gets something like that too. The second hit of his 3C will deal a hard knockdown. Fissuring Impact, so his 236A and then the B attack that does during the Rekos, can be jump cancelled or go into 236 or 2 and 4D on hit or block. Shadow Wolf 236B has less recovery, similar to if it's cancelled into from Fissuring Slash, and the knockdown time got increased. Grounded Demon Fox, or his 214B, start up is faster, similar to if it's cancelled into from Fissuring Slash, but without the longer recovery of that version. You can actually 5A after this now, and it's a valid combo. Wild Lion, his 214C deals out more hits faster and can cancel it into 236, 236D on landing. Final hit of his Air Super, Morning Shore, has a hard knockdown, which lets you follow up with his 236, 236D in the same combo. And actually, if you land a counter hit with this move, it will allow you to go into 236, 236C instead. Speaking of, lastly, his Unlimited Super, the aforementioned 236, 236C, got a small change at the end because apparently I misremembered the actual attack finishing with a downward slash instead of an upward one, like it actually does, so I changed that. Also, the initial hit is now a foot property attack, meaning moves that dodge those types of attacks will cause you to whiff. Kind of some effect that's unblockable. No one really figured out what I lifted this attack from yet, and I'm kind of grateful for that in a way, but that's kind of unrelated. Last and certainly not least in this regard, and the winner for most stuff probably changed around besides S, because there was a large amount of feedback available, Unlimited Susanoo. So in the download, you'll notice there's actually 2 files for Susanoo, and that's because I got a comment before saying the original trail effects could be intrusive or obstructive to visibility. That in mind, I changed the after image effect he has to something more similar to Unlimited Terries in Though, seeing as I personally like the Azrael styled one better for him myself, I decided to actually just provide 2 variations of Susanoo. One for the after images, and the other one for the glow trail, and let you all just pick which one you like better. I'm pretty sure with the way trails work, you can actually even play against someone else using the opposing effect, and it won't desync it all for you. Pretty sure. So that little bit of variety aside, here's what's new for this piece. His DP, Towering Flame, is no longer considered a projectile hit, so it'll be projectile invincible attacks now. Inevitable Calamity, or Lightning Orb where you mash C, now has an actual traditional command like he does, say, for BB Tag, in the form of 214C. You still have to mash the C button to get the extra hits, though. Side note. Splintering Thrust, or God Press, or Command Grab, whatever you want to call it, had an oversight where the armor on it wasn't blocking head attribute moves. That has been fixed, and the armor doesn't persist into his recovery frames anymore either. Liberating Dagger or Super Slash sends the opponent straight up in the air on hit now, like Justice's Michael Blade from Guilty Gear. I mean, the resemblance of the two is there, don't lie. Collapsing Resentment, or what is now basically Titanomachia from Persona 4 Arena, now properly counts as Distortion Finish on kill. The camera doesn't focus on him anymore on the startup since I kind of gimped the other person when trying to approach. It has 20% minimum damage now, and shouldn't whip on downed opponents anymore either, since I redid how it hits stuff today. Lastly is Distortions that were missing names. Have them now, I'm glad to say, along with gaining some other changes. I'll start with the standalone Mouth Laser, which I have now dubbed Shout of the Enraged God. So before this was actually not a projectile, and that's just default how the beam is, probably because it wasn't intended to be used by itself. Well, this beam is a projectile now, and it's frame 1 invincible, but will lose its invincibility sooner, as soon as the beam is done firing. It also has 30% minimum damage now, so better combo ender if you want to go that route. His other distortion, and the last bit of changes to go over for this video, is for his 63214 distortion, now named Deity's Divine Punishment. So the command actually got changed. Instead of being half circle back like Terami's Laceration, I changed it to be half circle back and then forward because sometimes you go to use Hunter's Fang and you can't that instead. Only other thing I can really say that I did was make the attack sort of work better internally. Might look a bit cleaner as well. It also does like 800 more damage overall because of those internal changes. That's about it though. Okay, that's everything. You know, it's funny, it feels like making this stuff where I just talk is a lot harder than actually playing the game, or even making the mods themselves. In any case, certainly hope everyone enjoys the updated Limited, and that the changes all feel natural as per usual. Hopefully didn't break anything, all that good stuff. Hopefully I didn't buff anyone too hard, except Jubei. If any bugs pop up, as usual, be sure to drop me a comment, and I'll see what I can do about it. Don't want to drag out the outro of an already long video, so thanks for watching and downloading. Hope you enjoy the mods, and also hope to catch you in future uploads. I'll see you later.